Hey guys, Chris here. I want to go through a quick demo of my expense tracker and show you guys exactly how to use it. And I'll also show you how to customize it. So it is really just 3 steps. The first step is to enter in your categories. So you have 2 sets of categories. You have your expenses and then also your income. So there's 20 categories listed for each. And I have some sample categories listed here, but let's say you want to you want to add in childcare. So you can just add in childcare. And then let's say these other categories you don't need, you can just highlight them and delete them. And the same for income too. So if let's say you have an additional side hustle, let's say side hustle number 5, you can just type over them. And then let's say you don't need any of these categories, you can just go ahead and click delete. So now we have our categories set. The next step is to enter in our start date. So just for this example, we're going to do January 1st, 2021. And then now we have to enter in our income and our expenses in their respective tabs. So I have some sample data here where we can just copy over the income data. And then notice real quick that these are the month and the week number. Because they have the white background, they're automatically calculated for you. And then date, category, amount, and notes have a blue background. So this is what we have to populate manually. So I'm going to just paste in the sample data and notice that for January 1st, 2021, it's going to recognize that this is part of January and it's the first week of the year. And so this is why this is automatically populated for you. And so we're going to repeat the same steps for expenses. So I'm going to just copy over these sample expenses here. And the expenses tab is very similar, but there's one additional column, which is title. And that's because let's say you go to Costco more than once within a particular month, you likely want to break it out by the different days and the different transactions. There's also a note section. So if you want to note if it's a recurring expense or add any notes to the transaction, you can do that in column G. So now that we have our income and our expenses, we can go to the monthly tab. And what is great about the monthly tab is it shows you a high level breakdown at the very, very top. So for January, there's an income of 2,550. There's expenses totaling 1,410. There is a savings of 1140, and then there's a 44.7 savings rate. Now, what is also cool is that it'll break out the monthly expenses. So it'll sum all of them up by the categories and then show you the percentage breakdown. Another thing that I wanted to add is any data that you change on the income and expenses tab will automatically affect all of the corresponding tabs. So let's say I reduce one of my expenses. So let's say my mortgage and utilities, instead of it being 1,000, it is 750. Then that will automatically reduce my housing here from 1,000 to 750, and that will increase my savings amount and my savings rate. Now, the months go from left to right. So since we're starting in January, it has January all the way to the left. If you're seeing this in July, you just type in July 1st, 2021, and then July would show up here. Now, if there are extra categories, like we didn't use all 20 of the expense categories, so now there are a few extra lines that are blank. You can just highlight them, right click and click hide rows, and then they will go away. Now, we have all of the monthly breakdown, but we want to see a full yearly view. And so this is where you would go for the yearly tab. And notice here at the top, it sums up all of our income, expenses, savings, and savings rate. It also shows you the period of time that the tracker is being used for. So typically, I'm doing it for a full calendar year. So it's January 1st, 2021 till January 1st, 2022. Same thing as before. If there are rows that you're not using, because we're not using all of these categories, you can just hide them. And then the same thing for the expenses. So now we have a full breakdown of, for the entire year, what was our income by the different categories, and then what was the total amount of expenses for all of their respective categories. And then now we're going to move on to the charts. So what it is cool is that you'll have a monthly summary, so more of a visual now of all of our income, expenses, and savings. And then this will actually aggregate and show you in a donut chart that 83.9% of all of our income was from our paycheck. and then 60.6% of our yearly expenses came from housing, right? And as an example, let's just say I add in a transaction for April, because right now everything is 0. I would just type in, let's say April 1st. It'll come from our paycheck, and let's say $1,000. And then I'm going to go to expenses and then add in a transaction for, let's say, Costco, groceries, and then let's say it's $200. So we have income of 1,000 and then groceries of $200. So here we're going to see that breakdown exactly, right? 1,000 for our income, 200 for expenses, $800 savings rate. And then under charts, we're going to see the new transactions that we've added. And you can kind of project, right? As you start to use this tracker more often, you're going to be going in here, let's say every week, to update your tracker, and you're going to be able to kind of analyze what your monthly savings rate is. So for the months that we've entered in so far, and then also your yearly savings rate as well. And so this was the important factor, is to figure out, okay, what money is coming in? So that's my income. What money do I have coming out, which is my expenses, and then how much am I actually saving? So just in this example, we've saved $3,415 this year with an average savings rate of 42%. So this is how you can start tracking your expenses, calculating how much you're actually saving, and then figure out if you're hitting your goals. So I also included a few helpful tips. So you can list any sort of recurring expenses at the beginning of the month. So let's say you have, obviously your housing expense, maybe your Netflix account. So any sort of recurring expenses would be easy to add in during the beginning. Definitely get into a routine. I typically just do it once a week, but when I first started doing this, it was a few times a week. And then also you can export your online credit card statements and then just copy them directly into the tracker. All you have to do is just make sure that they're in the exact order that you want. So let me know, guys, if you have any questions. I'm happy to help, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson.